Yesterday evening, when I posted the video of the taking of this picture at Lakehill near Knock, I promised that I would demonstrate how the picture was processed. So if I just go through the pictures here, this is the first picture. If you remember, I took a total of 9 pictures, all of the same scene, and the camera automatically changed the exposure for each one. So this picture here that you see on the screen is the correct picture as the camera saw it. And then the camera took a number of pictures where, if we scale through them here, you can see the picture is getting darker and darker, and actually was much too dark. And in truth, I didn't need to take 9 pictures. 3 would have been sufficient, but I'm using a Fuji camera, the X-T2, and it will allow me to do a total of 9. So for the sake of the demonstration as much as anything else, I let it do the 9. So as you saw there, the pictures got darker and then they get brighter, much too bright, like in this picture. The advantage of this bright picture here is that we have details in these dark parts of the picture and on all the green leaves above the canopy. The underneath is, or the view in the background there is obviously way too bright. But that's the row of pictures there. So this is the first one. So just to demonstrate for you, I'm in the program called Lightroom, and if I select those 9 pictures, so we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 7, 8, 9. So if I select all of those, and then I simply go up to the word photo up the top of the page here and come down to photo merge and click on HDR. Now this will take a number of minutes, enough time for you to go and have a cup of tea, at least if you're using a computer that's as slow as mine. I'm sure a faster computer would do it better, but this little computer that I'm using has been well worked and is slowing down a little bit. So I'm going to let this run and we'll stop the video and I'll come back to you when it's finished. Well, as you can see, this is almost finished here. The blue line is almost to the end. Could be another minute or two yet. Oh, here it comes. Before, as you can see now, that picture looks very different to the dark picture that you saw at the beginning. So what's happened is it's laid those 9 pictures on top of each other almost, and for use of a better word, taken the best of each of them. Let me just explain to you though. I think yesterday I described this as a bracketing picture. The actual correct term would be a HDR picture, high dynamic range. And basically what's happening is the difference between light and dark in the scene that we're looking at is too great for the camera, and so we're expanding that range in what's called high dynamic range. The process on the camera is called bracketing, so you would be looking on your camera for the bracketing options. And it should also be said that not all cameras bracket the same. Some don't have that option at all, and some might only bracket for maybe 3 shots. It just so happens that on the Fuji X-T2 it will bracket for 9. As I said, I didn't really need 9 for this picture, but for the sake of the demonstration I just put it to 9. Now on this this window here that we're looking at, all of this is happening automatically. All I had to do was tell the computer, tell Lightroom to combine the pictures. But just to explain what we have up here, you see we have this thing called deghost amount, and the program has automatically picked high. Now what deghost means is that when you're taking pictures one after the other like this, and there might be some movement in the picture. So for example, on a windy day the leaves are going to move. The camera can detect, or the computer will detect these different movements and try and minimize them when it's putting the picture together. So for some things you might not need to do any deghosting, but the computer decided on this occasion it did. On the day, it was a very calm day, a windy day it might be very hard to put this picture together because there'd be so much movement in the leaves. But just so that you know, that's what that is. So the high up here that we see is suggesting that the computers had to work quite hard to make this picture so that we don't see any movement. Okay, so this is a preview, and really now it's saying to you, do you want to continue and merge, or do you want to cancel? So I'm going to press merge, and while I'm pressing merge, you can see we've gone back to the original picture here, and the merging is happening up on the top left hand of the screen here. And once again, this is going to take several minutes, so I think I'll actually stop the video. Okay, so that's finished now, and what happens is these are the 9 pictures that we selected here. But what happens is when it's finished, the computer puts the picture down towards the end, and here it is, the same number, HDR 3, because it's actually the 3rd time I've done this. That's why I know which picture it is. So that's what the computer has done by itself, and all of a sudden now, if you remember in the first picture we looked at, all of this was very dark, you know, and we've got much more detail and much more vibrancy in this picture than we had in any one of the 9 pictures that we took. Now it's not quite finished. If we look over to the right hand side here, we can see some of the work that Lightroom has done in combining all of these pictures. Now for me, the problem with this kind of picture is that sometimes it looks HDR, and it's because in maximizing everything, sometimes it can get an unnatural look, and it's, in my view, it's quite natural that there are parts of the picture that you cannot see, you know, because they're too dark or too bright. So what I'm going to do with this one is I'm just going to increase the clarity. Well, actually, before I do that, the first thing I'll do is go down to the bottom here, and you can see the profile for this picture is what's called Adobe Standard. Because I'm using a Fuji camera, and these are raw pictures, inside I can actually choose the Fuji Velvia or Vivid setting, and when I click this, what you should see is a small change to the picture, and there you can see the greens have become much stronger. And Fuji Velvia was a film that was back in the days of film, that would have been a landscape photographer's favorite, my certainly favorite film, and it was famous for its greens, and that's what Fuji are trying to mimic with this particular profile. So the other thing I'm going to do now is I'm going to put up a little bit of dehaze, which will just darken parts of the picture, and back up to the top here. I think it's almost finished really, but clarity will give us a little bit more sharpness. And I don't know if we need the vibrance, just adding a little bit more color. Maybe we don't. I'm only going to put a small amount in and a small amount of clarity. And really that's the picture finished. If you wanted to, you could sharpen it a little bit. So let's just give it a little bit of a sharpen. And now let's have a look at the before and after. So this is the finished picture, and beside it there you have the starting picture. So let's just go and have a look at the two together. And there you see them before and after. Very simple process, a little bit of time involved because of the work the computer's doing, but not a whole lot of time from the photographer's point of view, and I'm sure you'll agree it's a much better picture. And now if we just look at the picture in its fullness, there it is.